Disclaimer: I do not own the clips or music shown. These are used for review and entertainment purposes. Thank you.
I'm Charles Xavier. Would you like some breakfast? I'm Charles Xavier. Would you like some breakfast?
Guys, it's me, Camden, on channel Camden. Let's talk about the X-Men again. So yes, the X-Men movies made by Fox, where at the time where Marvel movies weren't really popular at the time. So Fox decided to make an X-Men movie, which spawned into an entire franchise running from 2000 all the way to 2019. Today I'm going to rank the X-Men movies. And I have talked about a good few of them before. Check them out or I will find your address and torture you. Alright, since I'm going to rank the X-Men movies, here are some ground rules. First, I will not count the Wolverine, Logan, or the Deadpool movies, since they're technically not X-Men movies. The Wolverine and Logan, they don't have X-Men in the title. So, here are the X-Men movies with X-Men in the title. Now, let's begin. Starting with Dark Phoenix was the last Fox X-Men movie in 2019, the same year as Avengers Endgame. And this movie is about the Dark Phoenix again. And this movie is really boring, and I talked about it a few years ago, also with that mustache stranger attacking my house. It's not really interesting at all. The acting is mostly flat, and it just seems like some... Yeah, it was really boring, and I will not go too in detail, because I did a few years ago. But yeah, this movie takes place in 1992. And say, do you know what X-Men related thing came out in 1992?
Of course. Not.
It's just, unfortunately, he did not say the line in the movie. And, Jean Grey harnesses the Dark Phoenix again in these movies. And they wanted to be more comic accurate by going to space in her harness of Phoenix. Though in X-Men Apocalypse, she already had the Phoenix. Or is there some other alien Firebird in the Marvel Universe that I don't know about? And again, the acting's flat. And Jennifer Lawrence, she just doesn't care anymore. She doesn't care so much that Mystique dies. So, yeah, they also showed it in the trailer as well. So, you know, in the prequel movies, Beast and Mystique have a relationship. So, you know, Mystique died, so... In the refrigerator, Kyle Rayner in this. Beast actively wants to kill Jean for this, and works with Magneto. Yes. And Magneto is evil, again, which I'm going to talk about a lot in this video. And it's clear that in this movie that it was the right decision to give Disney the rights to the X-Men. So yeah, it's officially the worst X-Men movie, and possibly one of the worst comic book movies of the last decade, at least in my opinion. And yes, I said worst X-Men movie. What about Orange? Get to that in a bit. Give it 0 donuts. It beat my wife and killed my son. Anyway, next movie. X-Men Origins Wolverine was a prequel movie about Wolverine released in 2009, and it answers some questions like prequels should, except it tells us things that we already know. And yes, I have also reviewed this movie, and it was my first ever movie review, which you should definitely check out, or I will find your address and beat you.
Video that had something to do with X-Men. You all love X-Men, don't you? One character.
Where's my red Spider-Man jacket?
I was so young.
So yes, good old X-Men Origins Wolverine is a interesting film. Like I said in a video a few years back, 13-year-old me, which had a lot to learn. And he, Wolverine, this film, so yeah, this movie is hilariously terrible. The more I look back on it, kind of like how Daredevil was, and that 90s Captain America movie was. And Wolverine's CGI claws.
Look at that CGI. And this movie came out in 2009. In the first X-Men movie, his claws look fine. And the movie came out 9 years before Origins Wolverine.
So, yeah, as a prequel, it doesn't explain things we didn't know. They explain, like, how Wolverine got his claws. I mean, his metal claws, but they explained that in X-Men 2. And how Wolverine losing his memory, he got shot with an adamantium gun. Hilarious. And also, cameo. Cyclops for no reason, Blob for no reason, Gambit for no reason, and Will.i.am. Not kidding. Remind me to get Kanye West to play a Marvel character. Then it can also get Pete Davidson to play a Marvel character, so then they can fight. So yeah, Gambit, he's there, he barely shows up, played by Taylor Kitsch, who's barely in movies these days. And then, of course, we get to good old...
I'm not enough fool.
Yeah, this version of Deadpool is very, very infamous. Yes, the Merc with the mouth has his mouth sewn shut. Next, Spider-Man will have zero responsibility for his actions, and Batman will not be rich. He's a very poor person. And the Flash, he's very slow. He loses his speed every 10 episodes. Haha, got him. And also, Wolverine does a lot of screaming. Three donuts, but it's hilarious when watching it. Badly hilarious. I should watch this with the boys just to laugh at it. Next movie.
Wait, is that you? The Striker finally figured out how to shut you up.
Hey, it's me. Don't scratch. Just cleaning up the timeline.
X-Men Apocalypse is a movie that also exists that came out in 2016 along with Captain America Civil War and Doctor Strange and Deadpool. It's something. It's about the X-Men in the 80s fighting off Blue Poe Dameron. And it's something. So, yeah, it's, so basically it's the X-Men set in the past, again, where they focus on Cyclops, Jean, Storm, and, Nightcrawler, and they are not that interesting in this movie. I don't think we talk about enough on X-Men movies If your name is not Logan, Charles, or Magneto, you are a side character or supporting character. In this movie, they're the main part of the movie, and they're barely interesting. They're really bland. And also, Jubilee makes a cameo in the movie. And there's also a scene where they're in the mall just playing around being teenagers that shouldn't have been deleted at all. Yeah, also it has a lot of continuity problems, but I'm not going to talk about it. And also, Mystique is a leader instead of Cyclops. That is wrong on so many levels. But this scene is amazing. Crap, wrong scene. Speed cause copyright. Pietro in the MCU, can you dodge that? Didn't see that coming. And Wolverine makes his obligatory cameo. And Apocalypse.
Everything they built will fall.
It's also very clear that they want to rival the MCU and they fail miserably. Instead of Fox just giving the rights to Marvel. Nothing wrong with the X-Men playing with the Avengers a little bit. It's clear that this franchise was losing steam and relevance. So yeah, this is what I'm giving it. Next movie. X-Men The Last Stand was a movie released in 2006, which I have reviewed a while back, and you should definitely check out that video or I'll find your address and beat you. It's about the X-Men dealing with the Cure, because humans are racists, and Jean is alive and turns into the Dark Phoenix. That definitely won't be overused. And Cyclops dies in the first 10 minutes of the movie. In fact, I can just rename the title of the movie as X-Men. As X-Men. Everybody die. So, let me sum it up since I talked about it before. Well, this movie is and Charles dies. And Cyclops dies, and Jean dies. And it's clear that they cannot handle two plot lines at the same time. The Cure and Dark Phoenix. In my opinion, the movie should have been spread into two parts. The first part, just focusing on the Cure, but also Jean slowly getting to her Phoenix phase. In part 2, she goes full Phoenix. And also the unnecessary subplots. There's also Angel, who's barely in the movie. Kelsey Grammer as Beast, though he's really good as Beast. Love triangle between Iceman, Rogue, and Kitty. The fact that girls are after Iceman. And that boy Wolverine is still screaming. Yeah, this movie is not good, but it has some good things about it, like Kelsey Grammer's Beast. Again, some of the action's pretty entertaining, and the cinematography does not look bad. It kind of looks nice. And also, the movie got replaced with directors. Bryan Singer got replaced with Brett Ratner. And neither of them are definitely not problematic at all. And Bryan Singer, definitely not problematic around children. But again, like Origins, I watched this to laugh at it at times. And, yeah, I probably should watch this with the boys. I'm also disappointed that Scott dies so early, so we don't have to hear him scream a lot. In The Last Stand, the X-Men were in a bit of a dark age at the time. So yeah, which led to Origins Wolverine. This is what I'm giving it. Next movie. finally a movie that is at least somewhat good. So, the X-Men, again, it was made during a time where comic book movies weren't as popular at the time. It was in the dark age with Batman and Robin and everything. Until Blade, there was Blade. So then the X-Men, it made money. And then there was Spider-Man, and then Iron Man, and then it led to the MCU. It was directed by Brian Singer. And yes, it was a pretty good movie, I guess. Movie is not bad, but it's not the greatest thing ever, but it's not bad, and some of it is a product of its time. And but here's one thing. It's weird that this movie is also afraid of just embracing that it's a comic book movie. At the time, it makes sense, because they needed to bring the new age of comic book movies, and people need to take it seriously. But now it just feels weird. Like, they're just wearing black jumpsuits, and Cyclops is all like...
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Writers really thought they did something with that line, didn't they? But, yeah, this film is pretty good. Sets up the X-Men world a bit. And Hugh Jackman is also very, very, very good as Wolverine. It's just he's not short. But still, he's pretty good. And Ian McKellen as Magneto is also pretty good. And Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier is also very good. And it's also good timing that I bring this up because, but yeah, and also this brings me to one of the things in these movies. Besides those three characters I named, they don't focus on the variety of X-Men characters that much. They're just supporting, and they don't do much with them. Like Rogue, she's not southern and all like, "What's up, sugar?" She's just a angsty teenager. Cyclops, the X-Men's leader, is shoved to the side. The second one, he gets knocked out and mind controlled. The third one, he dies. Origins, he's just there for a cameo. And then in Days of Future Past, he's just at the ending. And Apocalypse, Mystique is the leader, not him. And Jean is just the love interest in these movies. And part of their annoying love triangle. Got solved in the comics, by the way. Also, cameos just for cameos. But other than that, this film is pretty good. It also has a good theme of talking about prejudice and how humans are racist against mutants. They're mutantist, a term coined by me. So you must credit me plus a trademark Camden Williamson under every time you use the word mutantist. If you don't, I'm coming to sue. This is what I'm getting at. Not bad at all. Not bad. Let's talk about the GOATs. The top 3 GOATs. X-Men First Class came out in 2011, which was basically an X-Men prequel. The second X-Men prequel, but it was the start of the quadrilogy. Basically how Charles and Eric became best friends, and how Eric became a villain and turned to Magneto, and how they put the X-Men team together. And, it is good. It is one of the few X-Men movies that actually have the X-Men as a functioning team. And the other ones, it's Wolverine and friends. This one, they feel like a team, and it also sets the characters up pretty well and what they think about their own powers. Should they get rid of it? Should they stay with it? This movie was also the birth of this meme. Also, the fact that it was a black man that died. This is not something I would expect in Black History Month. In this movie, it sets up everything pretty well, though certain parts can make you question some things with the timeline, as typical for X-Men movies. And also, Wolverine makes a cameo in this movie, which I don't even need to point out, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. The movie is also not too afraid to show that it's based off a comic book. They have like yellow spandex, like they next few movies they go back to black outfits. You know, for a franchise about being different and everything, you sure have the X-Men wear uniforms a lot. Uniform. Hey, Fox, can you take a look over at Disney and Marvel and see what the Avengers are wearing, and Spider-Man and Ant-Man, and they look completely cool while wearing it. So Michael Fassbender's great as Magneto, and James McAvoy is also very good as Charles Xavier. Absolutely fantastic. Give this a watch right now. Oh. This is where I get to the top two. I'm torn between these two because I like them both equally. So I'm just going to talk about this one first. X-Men 2. Or X2. Yeah, that's what they named it. X2. Not X-Men 2, X2. X2 is basically a sequel to the first X-Men film, and it improves it in every way except for the costumes. It also expresses more about the subjects of prejudice and mutant racism, mutant trademarked by me. And this movie's action sequences are very, very, very good. Look at Nightcrawler, bro. And it improves on a lot of things, the characters and everything. And Nightcrawler, like I said, he's played by Alan Cumming, and he's very, very good as Nightcrawler, and I am so angry that they won't use him as Nightcrawler in any of the other X-Men movies. Why did this man show up more often? And it further talks about the subject of mutantism. People hate you solely because you have powers. Though in real life, people would think you would be cool because you have powers. An Iceman coming out to his parents as a mutant. And he's on their parents, the faces the parents have are like, it is so good. Watch it right now. It is just as good as the first two Raimi movies. Oh wait, the entire Raimi movie. Spider-Man 3 is cinema. X-Men Days of Future Past, which is what I want to talk about finally. This movie is like very, very good. Okay, so it's about the X-Men, Wolverine having to go back in time to stop Mystique from killing Peter Dinklage. It also brings back many of the classic X-Men actors and the ones from First Class. This should have been the end game of the X-Men movie. It has a sense of finale. It just has closure and everything. Once again, Hugh Jackman's good as Wolverine. And of course, I can't talk about this movie without talking about good old Pietro. I wonder if this guy ever comes back. And his ending is very, very wholesome, and it makes me wish there were no more X-Men movies by Fox after this. Or at least after Logan, there should have been no more. Oh boy. I hope that now we can get to see him in the MCU. We get to see flashbacks of Wolverine and Cap fighting in the war. Or we could see a love triangle with Star-Lord, Gamora, and Kitty Pryde. Or they make more. Hey, eventually, now we're kind of getting them in the MCU, so that's a plus. This is what I'm giving it. This film, well, it's over now. The ranking is over. Overall, this X-Men franchise has some hits and some misses. And I am very excited for their future in the MCU. So yeah, that's my ranking. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you can like, comment, but not a mean comment, and subscribe. No!